Hey guys, this is Alan with a brand new episode of Devil May Play.
Hey guys, Trip here, and Lark and I were just talking about Chinese food.
That's true. That's true. Speaking of Chinese food, like that
I'm not sure how we
segue,
segue
because
out from Chinese food.
San Francisco is like the
I
birthplace of
feel like
American Chinese.
I feel like that's no okay. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Now, the point is, we're talking about Watch Dogs 2 today.
hmm Well, specifically, you had a lot to say, and I'm going to jump in. But why don't you start us out? Why are you excited for Watch Dogs 2? Specifically, like what has Ubisoft done to make you excited for the game?
Well, it kind of goes to a larger point. And in the last episode, I talked a lot about Ubisoft kind of tinkering with their formula and how everything I've seen from Watch Dogs 2 seems to indicate that they're finding a more proper balance in the way they create their open worlds. Because Lark and I have talked about this before in our other Ubisoft episode about how some open world games can do almost the same things Ubisoft does, but we enjoy them more. Like, for instance, how can The Witcher 3 have, objectives you need to solve and, things to collect in the open world, but why is it more engaging there than in a typical Ubisoft game? And I feel like with Watch Dogs 2, from everything I've seen so far, they seem to finally be finding a proper balance, making the side activities feel less repetitive, more engaging, feeding into something that actually is rewarding, whether it's rewarding you with collectibles, clothing, or more experience or followers, as they're called in the game. And
Actually, I want to jump in and say that is something I saw that I really liked. I like
yeah,
that a lot. That everything you do ties back into your followers, which ties into like it. You know how like some games the upgrade systems don't really make sense. It doesn't tie into anything. Like that
yeah.
actually makes quite a bit of sense. Like the bigger online presence they have, the more followers they have, the more people they have that download their app, the more like processing power they have. So I think that's cool. I just wanted to just jump in and say that.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. That's definitely part of the point. And also in regards to just the open world itself, how dynamic it is. And like I said, I talked about this on the last episode, but just the different things you can do in the world, the fact that things are happening with or without your input, something as simple and small as the cops going after somebody else other than you for committing a crime makes the world feel like a living and breathing environment.
Mm-hmm.
But the main reason why I really wanted to talk about this today is because I feel like it goes to a larger point to Ubisoft and also the game industry as a whole. And that's what I see as kind of an identity crisis or a priority crisis with
Sure.
Ubisoft as a company. And what I mean by that is it's kind of why I've always had a love-hate relationship with Ubisoft, because on one hand, they're basically, EA light in, their treatment of DLC, their repetitive nature of their games. But on the other hand, when you see a game like Watch Dogs 2 or, the Rayman series or stuff like that, you can really tell that there are talented, passionate, quirky people who really care about games and are very passionate about games working for this company and making these games that, despite all the bullshit, we still like. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about for this episode. The kind of identity crisis that a lot of development studios have and
They
how
can't
that dynamic works. You know what I mean?
they can't decide on how they want to make more money, basically. And I mean, we've talked about this before. I mean, on the one hand, I can kind of sympathize with it, and I think when you're talking about like their identity crisis with Ubisoft, we should definitely mention the recent statement by, I want to say it's the president of live operations or something, like operator of live operations, came out today when we recorded this episode saying that future Ubisoft games won't lock any main content behind DLC. They want the game to be a full experience for players. It's like we're returning back to the, we care about you as gamers. Like we had years of basically, I remember even like Mass Effect 1 and 2, like DLC has just been getting out of control. Like it's been getting out of control. And even with like these loot boxes and Overwatch, even though it's a great game, I mean, like gaming as a whole, like microtransactions were not even around like 10 years ago, and now they're rampant, even for a $60 game. And there's quite a few people who say, you know, if I'm paying $60 for a game, why am I being nickel and dimed, and why am I also having to pay for microtransactions? Which is a valid question. So Ubisoft comes out and says something like this, where, you know, we are going to, the way that she compared it to an amusement park where you'd be able to go on all the rides for free, but you'd have to pay for, you know, food or souvenirs or something like that. I actually think that was a pretty cool analogy. Here's the problem. Literally, at the beginning of this month, November, there was a season pass trailer for Watch Dogs 2 that detailed 3 different downloadable contents, like 3 DLC packs that all included single player content. So that's all content that is being locked out from the user unless they pay for it, and a separate difficulty level for the co-op. Like, I don't know how you can say, well, we are committed to giving gamers everything that we think they should get, and then doing that. It's like, because I think she was talking about their success with Rainbow Six Siege. Yeah. And the fact that they put out a lot of free content for that. And they, like, a lot of the cosmetic stuff they allow people to buy, but all the maps and whatnot are free. And on the surface, you're like, oh, this is a step in the right direction. But, you know, are they going to keep walking that way? Or is it going to just be like, oh, we're stepping here, but we're really going this direction?
Who would have thought treating your customers with respect would be a good business decision? But
Respawn did.
To your point, if you need a spreadsheet to understand all the DLC in all the different packs and what you can and can't get,
completely separate issue too,
then something is wrong.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm still...
That was Jim Sterling, though. You just stole that from him.
Did I? I feel like people said that before Jim Sterling, because I stole that from someone, from him, not Jim Sterling.
Well, then he stole it from somebody else.
Yeah, I think we both stole that from Reddit. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I'll believe it when I see it is the bottom line. Mm-hmm. But at the very least, what makes me not necessarily optimistic, but I guess not pessimistic about these statements coming out from Ubisoft is that at the very least, it's showing that what they've been doing hasn't been working. And this isn't the case for all games companies, but I did just a little bit of research. And if anybody's done more research and can correct me, then feel free. But Ubisoft saw some losses in the last year with in the last couple years, like stock losses with Assassin's Creed Syndicate not doing well at all because nobody wanted to. People were voting with their wallet in response to the last one.
Yeah.
And there was some other stuff that was going on that didn't do well at all. And even Watch Dogs 2, which virtually everybody is agreeing is almost like an Assassin's 1 to Assassin's 2 level jump in quality.
Right.
It's not doing all that well, not as well as it deserves to, because again, people are cynical after the last release.
Yeah, well, it's just karma, and it's like gamers starting to become wiser. And honestly, I mean, you're gonna say, well, good on them, and I'm gonna say the only reason they did this is because the game stopped selling as well. Now, granted, they're a business.
Whatever reason they have, I don't give that much of a damn. When it comes to consumer company relations, I don't want to be your friend. I don't give a damn what you think. I care about the end result. If you give me, I don't care, because like you said, a business's job is to make money.
Sure.
We should expect them to do that. And if they're bullshitting us, then we should be empowered to retaliate in the only thing that cares to them, money.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
So if this is just, the best example of positive capitalism I can think of, if it actually works,
I think it has, though.
They weren't doing well because they were bullshitting us. So now they're being forced to treat us better.
Well, let me ask you this.
They go through with this.
Is there what's the new Assassin's Creed? There's not one this year.
Exactly.
They took a year off, which is unprecedented. Like, they were milking that cow for years, for like a decade almost.
And I'm such an Assassin's Creed fan, and I just got so burnt out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did.
I didn't buy the last 2 Assassin's Creed games.
And then Division and all the problems that came with that. Like, I think they're starting to realize that I don't want to say I can't think of the word, but basically here's what I think. Although I applaud their, at least they're kind of getting a reality check, like they're aware of a problem, even if they're not actively fixing it with Watch Dogs 2. What I would have preferred though is what Respawn did, which is right out of the gate before the game even came out, they made it publicly known all DLC is going to be free.
And what game did Respawn make?
Titanfall 2.
Okay,
and I think it's going to be critical because for anyone that knows sales numbers, it did not sell very well because it was sandwiched between Battlefield 1 and COD. And the only chance this game has is if they can convince enough people to pick it up, people that get tired of Call of Duty or get tired of Battlefield 1, or they need you have to sell the game. You can't, like, it's a franchise, the first one came out and it had a decent enough player base, but it's been years and the player base kind of died off. So I'm hoping that, I've played the single player and I played the multiplayer, and I'm really hoping that their attitude, their treatment of customers is going to basically earn them new customers. People are going to look at the game, and that'll be the thing that kind of tips them over the edge if they're thinking about it. If it's like, $30 or $40, say, you know what, I'll spend the 30 or 40, and especially since I'm going to have, free content coming out for the future. And that was the other thing that the director of lab operations from Ubisoft said, is that they're looking to support games for 5 to 10 years now. And especially with online games, they live and die by, a player base and additional content. It's how Rocket League's been around forever. I guess I want to take a quick aside right now to do a shout out to a YouTube channel called NoClip. So yes, NoClip is a documentary series created on YouTube by a guy named Danny O'Dwyer from GameSpot, and it's pretty new. It just started a couple months ago, and they did a full interview with the Rocket League team, and you could see, with Rocket League, it's people describe it as an overnight success, but you can see that they were working on that game since 2008 at least. I think even before that.
Really?
Yeah, there was a whole game that came out before that. And then what they did is they made a bold business decision. I'm not going to remember the full name. It's like Super rocket powered acrobatic battle cars or some nonsense like that. That was the original title, the first game that they put out. And then they basically went back, put on some extra polish. And what they did, because they didn't have any money for marketing, this is what they did. They said, okay, PlayStation has PS Plus games, right? They're for free. They're free for 1 month. So they said, we'll lease the game for free, and we'll use that as a marketing tool because we don't have the budget for marketing. And it paid off. But it paid off so well that they were worried they weren't going to have anyone to buy the game, because it was something like, I don't know, they can't reveal numbers because of, I'm sure, confidentiality, but definitely a couple million people downloaded it for free. I did. I didn't even realize that was when the game first came out. I had assumed that it had been around for a while, and that's why it was on PlayStation Plus for free. So my friend got me into it, and I started playing it, and now they have this whole wonderful community, and they release a lot of content for free. But my point is, people are starting to get smarter, gamers especially.
Thank God.
Finally. And I think companies are realizing they can't keep doing what Battlefield 3 did. They can't keep having these piss poor launches because, there's a lot of competition. We've talked about how
as there should be.
Skyrim's starting to get competition from CD Projekt Red, and you made a whole article, which we're definitely going to link, that I shared on Reddit, and then subsequently lost a lot of karma because of about how Skyrim is still a mediocre game. So if that doesn't trigger any of you Elder Scrolls fans, I don't know what will.
And I am the biggest Elder Scrolls fan anywhere. Seriously, I have a conversation with me about hermaphroditic demigods raping demons, and I'll know exactly what you're talking about. But anyway, back on topic.
Yeah.
When you were talking about Titanfall and how it's not doing well in terms of sales right now, and I want to bring light to what I feel like is a possible negative response to this whole thing, a possible dark side to this. Because we both know the people who are in control of these companies, especially EA, don't give a shit about video games. They don't really understand. I'm not talking about not even the executives. I'm talking about the shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
And if Titanfall 2 doesn't do well, after doing all these good things that are great for consumers, how are the shareholders going to react to this?
Right. No,
I
you're
mean,
right.
and that's kind of the dark side of this, and that's why I'm cautious, and I'm really hoping, somewhat in vain, but I'm hoping that the shareholders aren't as stupid as they seem to be, and they understand the context of why this game isn't doing so well. The game isn't doing so well because the first game everybody got super hyped for, and it was mechanically an amazing game, but there wasn't enough content. So people dropped off almost immediately. And the second one gets announced, no one really cares. And if they were going to start caring, then it didn't matter because, like you said, it was sandwiched between Battlefield 1, which I also really want to get because that seems like a great game, and Infinite Warfare, which I don't really give a shit about. But yeah, after all of these, it's like they're not setting themselves up to fail, because why would a company do that? But that was the end result. They set themselves up to fail. And what I want to see is how EA as a company responds to that, and whether they continue this trend of positive consumer relations, or if they go back to their old ways because they're scared and they feel safer there.
There's a conversation I'm not going to remember between I think it was Vince Sampello and somebody from EA, and I think that there's some stress and tension going on, which is understandable, but I totally understand what you're saying, where they tried to do the right thing and now their shareholders are mad, and now they're like, well, now we're not even going to make money from the DLC. And it's like, well, I mean, that's not really the game's fault. Like, I can foresee it making a decent amount of money because the player base I've seen a lot of people trying to convert other people to get pick it up, especially people that are kind of disillusioned with Call of Duty. They're going to their Titanfall 2 fans are reaching out to Call of Duty fans and saying, try this game out. I think you'll like it. It's like Call of Duty, but better. And that's exactly how I feel, because I'm much more of a Twitch shooter fan than I am a tactical shooter or strategic shooter like Battlefield. I like the fast-paced, movement-based shooters. And that's what Titanfall 2 is. And it basically, what I realized playing Titanfall 2 is that all the movement mechanics from Call of Duty just don't amount to a hill of beans. Like, that's a really old way of saying it, but they don't, because like you can run on walls, but the maps are not designed for that kind of verticality. Whereas with Titanfall 2 and 1, they absolutely were. Like, you could climb up any building you wanted. And Call of Duty, it's like, oh, I can run on this wall to this platform out here, and then run on that wall to that platform. It's not designed, like, the whole game is not based around that kind of movement and verticality. It's just like added on. Right. It feels just tacked on. And then you have the whole aspect of Titans, which really just changes up the gameplay.
Right. I feel like this brings us back to kind of the point of this episode, and that's kind of taking a look at how companies react to things, the behavior of video game companies as a whole within the industry. Because just like you said, there's tension within EA. Ubisoft has this massive identity crisis. And I think it's important to understand why these companies keep making such, what to us seems like, idiotic decisions, and why they sometimes make, from our perspective, really great decisions that seem to help everybody. I feel like there's sort of negative and positive synergy that happens when you get a bunch of people in a room together and say, hey, make some money doing something you enjoy. I feel like that's what a company is. Yeah. And I feel like there's this negative synergy where you get everybody together in a room with what should be a similar vision and a similar end goal, but with different priorities, different beliefs on how to get there, different strategies, different levels of commitment, and you end up with just this homunculus of nonsense of microtransactions, day one DLC, of season passes, and some of it works for a while, but thankfully, like you said, at least it seems for now that consumers are getting a bit more choosy with what they spend their money on, and they understand, am I going to be able to get a full level of enjoyment out of this game without spending more money than I want to? Yeah. I feel like gamers have become cynical, and I know people who watch this think I'm cynical, but I really don't like being cynical, and I'd rather be an optimist. And I feel like this kind of cynicism, at least for now, is a good thing if we can turn it into something constructive.
Yeah. And I mean, we had a whole episode on DLC. That was one of our first episodes because it's such a prevalent thing in gaming. And we talked about like good examples and bad examples. So I think that's a good way of putting it. It's just, like you said, the gaming industry is an industry, it's in a crisis because it's, I mean, look at Hollywood. That's what I said. Like the entertainment industry, things aren't like, you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. You know, it's like fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I think gamers are starting to realize that. So who knows? Hopefully it's a good sign. I mean, I think that I think what we really should look at in the future, what would make sense, the most sense, is what's already starting to happen where games are not always $60. There are some games that are less. Right. There are some games, I wouldn't say more. I think one thing I was talking to somebody about today was the Walking Dead method, where they had like the seasons and episodes where, you know, for smaller studios, they can't afford to fully budget a game on their own. So they put out, you know, episodic content, you know, for a reduced price. And then if you like it, you continue playing it. And if you don't, you've only spent $5 versus, you know, $60 for most everyone is a pretty big investment. And if you get burned on it too many times, no man's sky. If you get burned too many times, you really start to become wary. So that's my final thoughts, I guess, to wrap it up. And then there's like a afterwards that I want to mention. But did you have any other final points you want to make?
Oh, no, I think you summed it up perfectly.
So we're trying to do a little bit more off the cuff stuff in addition to deep discussion. So like in the beginning and the end of episodes, we're just kind of dicking around. This is our dicking around time. And I just wanted to bring up something. I don't know if you've seen this. So for anyone that's following Polygon and Reddit, there's a video that came out that showed off the Ezio trilogy remaster that's on Xbox One. And
yes.
That video got huge. Well, this random YouTuber with like 400 subs before today found out was that they were using footage of a glitch that was already existing in Assassin's Creed 2, and then basically showing that footage as if that was all the climbing mechanics in the game. And additionally, they showed two NPCs and compared them together. They were completely different NPCs. So Polygon is once again, I'm just going to go on record. I don't care. Polygon is shit. I've known this for years. I have not liked Polygon since Destructoid. What is it? What was that show?
Bomb?
No. It was one with Adam Sessler. Rev 3 Games. Rev 3 Gaming. Like yeah. I remember Max was my favorite person on that show. And it was Max and Adam and I think Arthur Gies from Polygon, and they were talking about a game. And Max is like me. Like, he's very passionate. He's actually pretty intelligent too, but he always is a passionate dude, and he's not afraid to show it. And Arthur Gies came on, and they were talking about some game. Dude is just an asshat. So that was my first moment where I was like, who is this person? He was just like that. I don't like that culture. I was just going to say it. I'm putting it out there. If you like Polygon, great, but I don't. This video is another thing in a long list of reasons why I don't like them.
The whole thing about the Polygon thing and the response to it is a good example of the internet circle jerk and counter jerk, because the circle jerk, it's just a new term for bandwagoning. And I feel like this was a perfect case study in bandwagoning in both ways, because the video came out, everybody freaked out because everybody wants to hate on Ubisoft. You know, we love to hate on Ubisoft, and everybody loves to talk about the latest bullshit in gaming. Yeah. Then this random dude comes out. I actually recently subscribed to him because I think he's cool, but and he kind of inadvertently starts a counter jerk because nothing he said was incorrect. But you could still totally make the argument that despite everything that he said, the Ezio collection is still dog shit.
Oh, yeah.
Because, sure. and even he in the video kind of said that too. So even like Polygon is shit. I'll agree with you on that.
That's going to be the episode title.
Polygon is shit. We can all agree on that. But I'm not so mad at them about that video because it was kind of one of those things where, like, if they're just going to make like a 5-minute video, what else would you have expected them to do? Because either way, the Ezio collection has a lot of problems. Those glitches should not be in the game still. That horrific character that we saw, the point the other guy was making was that character has always been in the game, but the lighting is different, so you don't see how terrible he looks. But that's still something that a remastered edition should take into account. If your improved lighting makes the characters look like dog shit, you should have noticed that and fixed that.
So is this a counter jerk now?
I guess, but see, and that's the other thing. When is it just speaking your opinion or making fun of something for fun, and when does it become a circle jerk? There's a thin line there. And
I mean, he started the counter jerk. So if anything, all the other people that jumped on the bandwagon now that are like defending it, I guess, are attacking Polygon. See, I've been an original hater. I've been hating them for years. And I just, like with their SimCity review where they just kept dropping it, or the dude that said, I don't even like video games. There's so many reasons to not. And it's okay. And we're going over on this. I don't care. I think it's one thing to disagree with somebody. Like, I'll take an example. All right. The reason I don't like Polygon is because they're pretentious. They just are. Everything, and that was the impression I got from Arthur Guys. No, but like, look at Sterling, right? He gave Dishonored 2, a game which I'm really enjoying, a 5 out of 10, right? People are losing their shit, okay? It's happened before. But he supports why he doesn't like this game. That's why I don't particularly follow him for reviews. However, I find his discussion points interesting. And it's still good to get a different perspective, right? Like, I agree, like, even if I don't agree with his final score, I agree with the points that he makes, okay? With Polygon, I don't agree with any of the points they make for some of their stuff. Like, with Witcher 3, this is when it really tipped the scales. And I'm going to do this at the risk of getting some more triggered and butthurt people. The review for Polygon 3 for Witcher 3 brought up the fact that there isn't enough diversity in the game. Despite the fact that this is a Slovakian fucking mythology and it's set in like Slovakia and there's a lot of Nordic references.
How can I don't even get, like,
they were at the forefront of all that Gamergate bullshit, which I don't even want to get into.
You know why that shit pisses me off? You know why that shit pisses me off? And Jim Sterling, he kind of feels the same way about this sometimes. Because, like, when people start acting like that, then, like, it makes everybody who's not that crazy, but, you know, is still like, oh, yeah, we should have more diversity in games. Whatever. Like, that's cool. It makes everybody who says stuff like that look bad, too.
Yeah.
Like, you have these people who are, you know, like Jim or me or anybody who's just a normal person who's like, yeah, I'd love to see more diversity in games. You know, that's cool. Some games don't have enough diversity and there's no reason for it. Okay, yeah, sure. And then you have people like Polygon who are capitalizing on that and are screaming at the top of their lungs and finding something when there's nothing.
A narrative. They have a narrative,
and they make people
to.
Like us look bad. You know what I mean? Like, that's why that shit pisses me off a lot.
No.
Because then, like, if I were to say, let's say they made a game about, let's say they made a game that took place in medieval Africa and everybody was Asian, okay?
Yeah.
And then I say, okay, that's bullshit. And then everybody else is gonna, you know, be like, oh, you're just an SJW or whatever, because, you know, Polygon's made everybody who has any thoughts like that look like an idiot. Sure. That's my thought. That's why I hate Polygon, because I mean, they're like the hippies of modern internet culture. Like, it's not that everything you're saying is always wrong. It's that you're
the way they say it. It's the way that they say it. It's 100% the way they say it.
Wrong, you're just an asshole.
That's from Big Lebowski. You're not wrong,
yes,
dude. You're just an asshole. No, Walter, which I watched that movie recently. I still love it. Oh, well, this is good. I feel like this episode's split in half when we start talking about Polygon. I can't help it. I know, like, I always am afraid to say some of these things because I'm like, oh, I'm going to piss somebody off. But who cares? I mean, it's got to go out there. Like, I agree with you. I consider myself pretty moderate and this is not political, this is just in ideologies. However, I don't like anyone that runs with a narrative, and Polygon's narrative has always been that way. Like, they are looking for that maximum controversy, no matter what it is. They did a fucking VR review for like a new gun game, and the reviewers talk about all of his experiences. They're like the Pitchfork of fucking the gaming world. Like, Pitchfork reviewers talk more about themselves than they do the artists. It's just ridiculous. So that's the way I kind of look at it. That's the comparison that I would provide.
And like, I look at it as a, you know, super liberal San Francisco dweller, and they're stealing my thunder, man, and it makes me mad.
You're not liberal enough, dude. You're not liberal enough. That's your problem.
I'm not. That's the problem.
All right. I think we got some good stuff on that episode.
I don't smell my own farts enough. I'm not pretentious enough.
Alrighty. That's
on that note.
Smell some farts.
And have a good day.